An important hearing on the issue of whether students should be allowed to wear the hijab in educational institutions has been continuing in the Karnataka High Court today. It's been on now for several days. It has been adjourned, I believe, at this juncture, and the hearings will continue now after the Attorney General said that he wanted to clarify a couple of issues for which he's been given 2 days. Among the arguments which were raised today, and remember, several of the students who were denied permission to actually go into their educational institutes by wearing a hijab were represented by several leading lawyers in this case. The argument made by one of them was that hundreds of religious symbols exist in our country. Why is the government picking on hijab and preventing Muslim girls from wearing these to educational institutions? The Chief Justice says that we have taken note of this. And another very important argument which has been made by this lawyer, in fact others as well, what about women with bindis or bangles, or those wearing a cross? How have they not been affected by any effort at trying to have one dress code, which is what the argument on the other side has been all about. Let's go straight across now to my colleague Srija, who's been tracking this very closely. So Srija, as I understand it, after several days, all of the arguments by the lawyers representing the students have essentially been heard. It's now for the government to actually counter this. Is that what happens next? And when does the next hearing resume?
Well, yesterday was senior advocate Kamath, and today we see it is Varma. In fact, both of them on similar lines, bringing in references as far as the government's order is concerned, which is the non-application of mime. That is one. And the other reference which was also being made is why the hijab girls are being targeted or singled out. Why not those girls who are wearing bindis or bangles? So these are some of the strong arguments that are being put forth by the petitioners, the lawyers of the petitioners, and there are more petitioners who will be actually arguing the case. And yes, it will be, the next will be the response from the Karnataka government as well. This is as far as the Advocate General is concerned. Now, according to him, what we also understand so far, the arguments that have been made, the government also has made it very clear in the High Court by saying that we have never allowed this before and this cannot be really the rule. But what really can be the outcome of these arguments is something that we have to wait and watch out for. But what one cannot really ignore on ground, though these arguments are on in the High Court, there are students across the state in Karnataka who have been denied their right to sit in the class, take classes, because this is happening on ground. You have various districts. Today you had even Udupi district where several of the students were just sent back home, and they were also not given a clarity on to whether they can attend the online classes. And also the other thing, what we understand from the principal, Mr. Bhaskar Shetty, is that he says that we are just simply following the government's, the Karnataka High Court's interim order, which says no religious garments will be allowed. So all the schools and the colleges, they are resonating in the same line and tone, which says we will not violate the High Court's interim order whatsoever, which means until and unless this the verdict is being pronounced, we understand we don't really have a clarity on how long these students will not be allowed to sit inside the classes.
Sure. Thanks, Srija, very much for joining us.